Alright guys, welcome to Onelife Podcast. Here with Yassa, who is a Guatemalan immigrant,
Correct.
turned into dishwasher, dishwashing, into a chef, into a food truck owner, now into a small business restaurant owner.
That's correct.
Thank you for being here.
No, thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. You are the type of people I'm trying to track down.
Okay.
The type of story I'm trying to highlight to help motivate other people.
Okay.
So thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
So let's go back to the beginning.
Okay.
How'd you get to the States?
How did I get to this?
And what age were you when you got here?
Oh boy. So just to little my background. You just said it. Originally from Guatemala City.
Yeah.
I grew up in Guatemala.
What is Guatemala like?
Wow, Guatemala
is it third world? Is it not?
Absolutely.
It is, okay.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, Guatemala is right next to Mexico.
Yeah.
A little bit, right next to Mexico. And so I grew up there. I became an orphan when I was 11 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So my dad passed away when I was 3. And then my mom died when I was roughly about 11.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So you can only imagine,
Yeah.
So I have 5 sisters.
Oh, wow.
3 of them were already here in the States.
Oh, really?
Because,
Okay.
we grew up very poor,
Okay.
So it's a third world country. So it was rough. It was very rough. So by the time I'm 11, I'm an orphan. I'm in the city.
And you've been separated from your sisters.
Yeah. So 3 of them were living here because they came out here after my dad passed away. 3 of them came out here to help my mom.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And so there was only 2 of us over there. And so, about that time I was 11. My older sister, the one that was kind of like watching me, was 14.
Okay.
So it's the 2 of us alone in the city. So, we had a rough it was a rough life. I'm not going to lie. Very dangerous, the zones where we lived in. And but, to summarize a little bit, I started doing a lot of stuff that I didn't have to do, So
What type of stuff?
The city where we lived in, the zone. So Guatemala goes by zone.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever.
Oh,
so,
really? Okay.
Yeah. So the zone that I lived in, there was a lot of bad stuff happening.
Like gangs,
we're very
things
poor,
like
a lot
that?
of gangs.
Okay.
A lot of drugs, a lot of prostitution. And so when you don't have a role model like a father figure or whatever, then you have the tendency to look it on the street, to look for it on the street. So I started getting involved with a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have. And so, my sister being 14 years old, she couldn't handle me anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
So,
we get involved in gangs or drugs or?
In Guatemala, I wasn't involved in gangs, but I was doing a lot of stuff that I didn't have to do. Like I was hanging out with the people that were stealing cars and doing stuff. Just trying to get some quick money.
Just trying to survive, I'm
yeah,
sure.
Exactly.
That is the thing, though. You're not going out of your way to do it on purpose. You're just looking for a way of surviving.
Yeah, and I mean, when we talk about like countries like ours, a lot of people have the misconception that we do things because we want to be bad. But
No. It's survival.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we grew up in a system where like if you don't step up on your game and become that aggressive lion that you have to be, then people they will
Just
destroy you.
Okay.
They will eat you alive. And so you have to become this kind of people.
Okay.
And especially for us, me, I mean, I have my cousins and whatnot that always look up after me, but I didn't have that at home. I didn't have that structure at home. So, moving forward, I lived there from 11 until I was roughly about 15.
Okay.
Until the point where my sisters were like, can't handle this kid being here anymore. If we,
So you're getting bad stuff at an early age.
Oh, yeah.
11, you're still a baby.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. By that time I was already, smoking. I was already drinking, and so, I was running away from home, like being out really late for, I mean, there was times where my sisters were looking for me like at midnight.
Worried if you're coming home at all.
Whenever I was coming home. Because, I was like, well, who's going to tell me, not to do this kind of things, And so it was rough, and, now that I'm 42 now.
I'm 42
I'm 42. So, now that when I look back, I'm like, I always thank God because, I always thought I wasn't going to make it past like 20 to 20, I mean, you're living in that lifestyle where like, at some point you just don't care anymore. You're like doing stupid stuff and you're like, who cares? I mean, this is what, I'm a firm believer that you have to like, it's like a card game. You know what I mean? Like you're dealt a hand and then you have to play it. Okay. That's what you got. That's what you have to deal with. Yeah. That's what you do, And so, by the time I was like 15, they couldn't handle me anymore. So they, then they decided that I was coming over here for a vacation. Oh, okay. Yeah. So it was all a lie, because I didn't want to move. I was in Guatemala. I was having a good time. Really? I mean, it was a lot of contradicting feelings, if you put it that way. You know what I mean? Like you need something like that is missing in your life. But at the same time, you're like so caught up having fun and hanging out with your friends and, living your life the way you're living.
But you're so young, you don't know what's missing at that age. I know. You had no idea what's missing at that age.
Yeah. It was, I mean, when you see other families, you know what I mean? Like when you see, your friends, having a conversation with their dads and having a Sunday dinner or whatever, you're kind of like, you want that too. So
somebody to talk to, somebody to turn to. Yeah. I mean, I'm 42 and both my parents are still alive and I still turn to them. Yeah. I mean, and I appreciate that the older I get, the more I appreciate that. Yeah. The fact I can still call them and ask them questions and go to them for guidance.
And for a long time, I had a hard time with that because, sometimes, even at this age, when you're having some sort of issue in your life, you know
anything,
what I mean? Like,
right?
you're like, you wish you had that person. Absolutely. Like you pick up the phone and, you make that phone call and they might not have the right answers, but, at least they're going to listen, And
100%.
So, yeah, totally just have a conversation about life, period.
Yeah, or just some guidance. Hey, you've been through this. This is what I'm going through. How did you handle it?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I do it all the time. And my parents are in a different country, and I still call them from. They're in Australia, and I call them all the time.
So now with my sisters, we have that. We have such a lot of people don't understand the relationship that I have with my sisters.
Yeah, that must be pretty tight.
It's very tight. We are. We're like that's all we have. Okay. And so a lot of people don't get that, but that's how we are. That our past created that. To the point where like, we count on each other for anything we need. Okay. So moving forward to 15, they say, you're going to go over there, you're going to go to Disneyland and whatnot. I always make a joke out of it because that's how they did it.
They sold it to you,
yeah. They sold it to me like, it was, so I came, I remember like it happened yesterday. I came here, on May 27 of 1996, you know.
So just before you finished high school.
Yeah.
Because we finished in 97.
Yeah. So I came, I landed in LAX, and I'm just like blown away with the, never in my life I seen.
It's from Australia. It's crazy intimidating. Never learned like Guatemala.
It's kind of like surreal, especially from, where we come from, you see stuff like that.
What's the population in Guatemala?
Oh, that's a good question, man. It has to be roughly around 5 million.
Oh, really? So it's tiny.
Yeah, it's maybe more. I don't know.
Australia's only got 24 million. Yeah. People always think it's a lot bigger than what it is.
Yeah, probably more than that. I might have my numbers wrong, but,
but I mean, 20 million just in California alone.
Yeah.
It's a big place.
It is a big place. So I landed in LA, and then...
So how old were you? So
I was about to be 16.
16 by yourself.
16, yeah, but so I came here. My sister, 3 of my sisters were living in Palm Springs at the time. Okay. So that's where I moved to. I went to Palm Springs, and then right off the back, I started high school. So
can you speaking English at all or not?
No. No.
So that must have been hard as well, right?
It was, but I'm a quick learner. Okay. So but it took a long time, but it was obviously, when I came here and I went to school, I had already failed 4 years in Guatemala. So I repeat, like I have to repeat my years because I will never go to school. I'll ditch all the time. So when I came here, they sent me back to being a freshman. And I'm here as 16-year-old being a freshman.
Not speaking English.
Not speaking English, you know, and people were already graduating. You know, some people.
Were you getting bullied? You getting picked on? Yeah, I could imagine you were.
Well, it was funny because, you know, I used to get bullied a lot for not speaking English.
But people probably didn't realize how tough you were.
Yeah. So that is funny you said that because, you know, coming from what I was coming from, they had no idea who they were like.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like, so I had to make a point.
This privileged American, like bullying this, like
so
tough.
I couldn't go to school in Pan Desert because, you know, I didn't have the credit. So they sent me to Cathedral City is what the city is called, which is like 30 minutes away from Pan Desert. And I remember this kid making fun of me all the time because I didn't speak English. And I stood up in the middle of the math class and just slapped him, you know, and everybody was like, what is going on? And I'm like, hey, I'm not here to be making fun, you know. Like, you have no idea who I am.
No, so you really don't.
You really don't. And so it was, you know, I love going to school. I really did. So for, you know, after I reset my chip and I was like, okay, so I'm here. But this time, my sisters are already giving me the whole spiel. You know, you're not going back. You're staying. Okay. You came to stay. I was like, what? You know, I'm like, why? You know, I mean, like I understood why, but I didn't. You know, I wanted to go back. You know, and so so I'm like, okay, well, now I'm here. You know, we'll see what happens. So I started doing really good in school. You know, I liked school. I started playing soccer.
Okay.
For, you know, for a freshman, I was
which is huge down there. Which is huge,
right? Yeah. It was nice for I would say the first 6 months I did good.
Okay.
And then, you know, with I wouldn't say that I was aggressive, but you know, I didn't take crap from nobody.
Yeah.
You know,
which is a good good trait to have.
Yeah.
I feel like it takes a longer time to become an adult before you start to really stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
But you got that. You got
I
that
was like, you know, I'm like, no, you can't, this cannot be happening. Because in Guatemala, it's like if you allow that kind of stuff one time, then everybody's going to do it to you.
Yeah.
So you don't allow it. Even if you get beat up, you don't allow it, you know? And so that came with the territory because, you know, the wrong crowd, I kind of grabbed the attention of the wrong crowd in high school.
I bet you did.
You know, it's like, oh, this guy,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
You know, and so it was kind of weird because then I started hanging out with the gangs.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So, and I, you know, for me, it's like I have such an addicting personality. You know what I mean? Like I like that rush or that, you know, that adrenaline.
Okay.
And I started hanging out with them because, you know, I seen them, you know, they had all the girls, they, you know, they had all the power, you know, and people were intimidated by them and whatnot. And I started hanging out with them, you know, and I was like, once again, I'm here, you know, doing the stuff that I should have not, you know, I shouldn't be doing. So, you know, it was fun. But, you know, I got into a lot of trouble over there, too.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah. So I started hanging out with the gangs.
What trouble were you getting into in the States?
You know, we just started partying too much.
Okay.
Yeah, we started partying too much.
You get back into drinking,
we'd start drinking, you know. By this time, I'm already experimenting with, you know, drugs and whatnot. And, you know, we're just doing stuff.
Okay.
You know, the stuff the gangs do.
Environmental is just everything, right?
Absolutely.
Good or bad.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the one thing that I try to teach my kids, you know, it's like the people you hang out with is the people you're going to become, you know.
100%.
Yeah. So
show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And I had to learn it the hard way, you know, because I didn't have that structure. So with my kids nowadays, you know, I tell them, you know, this.
Yeah. How old are your kids?
So I have a daughter that is 21.
Okay.
I have 18, 16, and I have a 6-year-old boy.
You must be an amazing dad to go through what you've been through, to teach the life lessons, to set them up to succeed.
I try to be, you know. Obviously, you know, we're not perfect. The thing about being a parent is like it doesn't come with instructions.
No.
You know, it's like
failing forward, right?
Yeah.
Figure it out as you go.
I have 4 kids with 4 different personalities, you know. So it's really something that is an everyday thing. But yeah, I try to tell them like about my life. You know, I can only speak about my life and the stuff that I went through and the stuff that I did and why I did it and how it happened, to, you know, with the hopes that they listen.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, one of the things is that they're going to be in situations where they're going to have to make the decision whether to do things or not do things, But I try to be, I try to have open communication with them and, just let them know, listen, life is all about what the decisions that you make today are going to affect your future.
And trying not to make the same mistakes that I made.
Yeah.
Because I've been through this.
Absolutely. Yeah, because, especially nowadays. But when I grew up, Guatemala or, in California, we used to fix things without fighting, okay, well, let's throw some hands, see what happens, and then, and then everything will be fine. But now it's like,
yeah, state's a little different.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
So it's kind of scary when you have kids nowadays,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, boy.
I got one daughter who's 8, and I try to, exactly what you said, but do the best you can.
Yeah.
When when you started, you're in America, you started following the bad crowd.
Yeah.
When did you realize that? How did you break away from that? What was the next?
So when I moved to California, my sister was married to this guy.
Okay.
From Guatemala. They were like high school sweethearts, So he lived in New York. He lived in a really, tough, neighborhood too. And he kind of became my mentor.
Okay.
He was a chef already at a restaurant. And I remember one day he said, you know what, you need to start working and start, putting your mind to something more positive. And so I became a dishwasher.
Okay.
Yeah. So I he got me the job at this Italian restaurant in Pan Desert. Yeah, in Pan Desert. And so I was like, it's funny because I was making $4.15 an hour back then.
Yeah.
$4 an hour.
My first job was $4.25.
Oh, man. So, I used to, back then being a dishwasher was tough. Because, we didn't have the technology that they have nowadays.
Oh, so you doing all by hand. Yeah, okay.
So, the cooks will come in and they do the marinara sauce and they used the pots that were like this big. And you have to wash it by hand.
Just get them to your elbow deep. And
all the satay pans, you had to wash them by hand, everything. We had the machine can only fit one rack at a time.
Gotcha.
And it was like, it was an experience, so
probably a very humbling experience.
Very.
Yeah.
Because now you're becoming, now you're starting to learn what it takes to become successful.
Oh, this is the reality of life.
This is the reality of life.
Life is harder than you've made it out to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because, I was so used to everything being so easy. Usually
you're taking the easy route too on money and things too, aren't you?
And I was making a lot more money.
Yeah. That's the problem too.
Yeah.
I feel like anyone who gets into that type of thing, it's quick, easy money.
Oh, yeah.
How do you ever step back and do it the right way and actually have to
it takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work. But it's at the same time, now that I'm 42, I understand that it's a lot more rewarding than anything else.
It's probably the best thing you ever did was to be humbled like that.
Exactly. So I was washing dishes for about 3 months, and then...
Were you hating it?
I used to hate it, but I used to love it at the same time. Because,
really?
It was like, I used to hate going in there and just... because we have this mentality in the food and beverage industry that the dishwashers are the bottom of the pool, and it shouldn't be that way. They are the hardest working people in the entire industry. They get the worst of the worst. They have to deal with all the nasty dishes, all the trash and this and that. So I hated that part of the job. You know what I mean? But I also enjoy the industry. Like I started getting kind of like a passion for the industry.
Okay, gotcha.
How everything works, because you will go in there and the chef will be yelling at the cooks for not doing something right, and they'll be doing all the prep and they'll be doing all the prep lists and this and that, all the systems around the operation.
Yeah.
Like I was like, wow. There's like,
so you started to get interested in it.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Even from a dishwashing point of view, that's interesting.
So that's the one thing about me is like, I think I always had that in the back of my head. Like, I don't know how it was for you growing up, but I don't know if your parents will always tell you like, you're going to do something great in life. Like you're going to be a doctor or you're going to be an architect or you're going to be this or focus in school or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I think a lot of people that grew up with like solid families, they always had that thing in there. Like somebody was telling them, you're going to do great. You know what I mean? I didn't have that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like nobody was telling me you're going to be a doctor, So I think for me it was like, am I really going to become somebody? Am I really going to become successful or something?
You really see the blueprint or be given permission that you could be anything else.
Yeah. Because our system was set up for us to fail.
Yeah, absolutely. You didn't even have a system.
Yeah, our surroundings, and I mean, I can tell you how many people people I grew up with are dead. Because they never moved from that one point.
It reminds me of the same thing you're hearing about America, where like people are growing up in gangs and bad neighborhoods, and they're stuck, and a lot of people end up dealing drugs or stealing cars, or they end up being shot dead. Yeah. And it seems like the exact same thing in a different country. Yeah. Probably worse because it is in a different country.
It is in a different country. And like I said, you don't, I mean, every way that you look is the same thing. If they're not stealing cars, they're selling drugs. If not, they're doing.
Yeah, you don't have the option of this university or this positive like outlet.
Yeah, it's a very small percentage. Yeah. You can see it's like, oh wow.
And you could see how it's not accessible. You can't get to it because you don't know the right people.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
So I was like, I was washing dishes, and the chef came one day and was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna be needing a pizza cook. So I think you're ready to move to the pizza line.
Oh, really?
Like, oh, okay.
How was that?
It was.
Make you feel good?
Oh, yeah. Because, I think the best part about that was that he started paying me $1 more. And,
so, $5.
Yeah. So, but that I really enjoyed. Okay. Because I was out of the dish pit, and now I'm in the front. The restaurant setup was where we used to make the pizzas. It was kind of like an open kitchen. Okay. So the guests coming into the restaurant, they can see us.
So you were making the pizzas?
I was making the pizzas.
And people watching you make it.
Yeah, and so that kind of like gave me like I was like, wow, this is, it's different.
Are you extrovert? Are you introvert? Do you like communicating with people?
I like communicating with people.
Okay, me too.
That's the one,
So that really brought you out of your shell.
That really did. It really did.
Yeah, I mean, if you stick me in the back of a kitchen where I'm isolated, that's going to make me very unhappy.
Yeah.
But I'm at the front when I'm able to talk to people, interact with people. That's going to bring.
It's kind of like a show,
Yeah.
You want people to know.
Yeah, I'm on the same page.
Because you're always been like under that shadow, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like people don't know who you are and whatnot. So you're like, okay,
so
I can get used to this.
Yeah, that was even happier moment.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I started doing pizzas, and man, I then that's when I really started getting that passion for the industry. Like there's so many pieces to the puzzle that you're like, wow, this is really something I can do, And I don't know, I was just there for, this was a very small mom and pop restaurant, little Italian restaurant, very busy, very high profile. So I enjoy it. By this time, my brother-in-law had moved to another restaurant already in a very location and whatnot. He's like, you know what, I think it's time for you to come work for me. Okay. And I did. That's when my career really started to take off.
Gotcha.
I was like 19 by then.
Okay.
And by that time, I was still hanging out with the people that I shouldn't have been.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Okay. But you also had a positive influence.
I had a positive influence, but then I was trying to switch my life around. So, so I was working a lot. So my sisters used to deliver newspapers in the morning. 3 a.m. every day, 7 days a week.
Gotcha.
I mean, we were hustlers, man. So I would go do papers with my sisters, 2 days a week. Okay. And then I go to school, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then right after school, I'll go to the restaurant. So I was starting to okay, maybe it's not, maybe I need to start focusing more on the working thing. So, but it's one of those things that is really hard to get away from. So I had an incident at school, a big fight. So I got expelled from the school, got kicked out. So I had to move to a different school, and but it's one of those things. It's one of those things that when you're so used to being bad, it's really hard to switch that.
Well, it's all you know, right?
It's all
and
you're
probably good at it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're winning your fights most of the time too.
Yeah. I mean, I try. You don't want to get beat up. Yeah. Then you lose your, but yeah, so it's, life was starting to become more about how am I going to turn into a positive, I mean, all my life I've been doing, it's been kind of negative, know? Because at this point, I'm just It's really hard to describe because I didn't think I was angry, but I was very angry at life.
Well, yeah.
You know?
I mean, you're probably angry at circumstances, right? And the card just...
It's really hard to understand.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine. Like,
it's really hard to understand why, how, why me.
Why you? It's not fair, right?
It's not fair.
Why are my parents still alive and together and you go through what you go through? Why is that fair?
Why is it fair?
It's not fair.
Yeah. You know, and
how do you mentally get past it? I have no idea.
Yeah, it was rough. You know, it was that internal fight. You know, it was just that internal fight. You know, like why is stuff happening to me when everybody else is just like chilling? You know.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I'm born in America. Parents are together. They both got jobs.
Yeah.
They're not working before school. They're not working after school. They're getting good grades.
Yeah.
They're in a good neighborhood with good friends. And you've had the complete other opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, and why you, like you said?
Yeah.
Why is that fair? What is this going to do for me?
Exactly.
And then I feel like you're at a point now where you've learned to take that and turn it to a positive, obviously.
I was starting to, I just didn't know how.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because,
and who do you turn to relate to something like that too, right?
Yeah. Because I mean, you know, in my life, until this day, I haven't met anybody who has gone through the stuff that I have gone through.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's really, for some people, it's really hard to understand in a sense, you know?
They can't relate it to it. How can you possibly relate to that?
So, you know,
even just being an immigrant, full stop. How do you relate to that unless you're an immigrant?
Exactly.
That, like, for me, it's different. I came from Australia where I'm very lucky. But I mean, unless you've come from a third world country into a first world country as an immigrant, you can't. That's so hard to relate to.
It is hard.
Most people have
a lot
no
of
idea what it's
adjustments
like.
to make. You know,
not being able to speak English, being bullied for not being able to speak English. Like,
yeah. But I think that gave me that motivation. You know, I think now that I understand, I always tell my kids that, like, whatever happened to me in the past is made me who I am today.
Absolutely.
Because I am so grateful. I'm so blessed.
And you're also so strong internally.
Because
I'm sure you're stronger than anybody you know.
I can be, you know.
I mean, like, when I say stronger, like relentless and the ability to just,
like, nothing will break you.
Yeah. I mean, the ability to just keep pushing, right?
Yeah.
Even me being here in a different country by myself with no family, no support.
Yeah.
The strength and the growth I've got from that has been unbelievable.
Absolutely.
And I feel unstoppable. I feel like you feel unstoppable times 100 compared to me.
Yeah. And that's why I'm here. You know what I mean? Because, you know, once I turned that chip in my mentality, then I started thinking, well, now I can do this. You know, nothing's going to do it. I can handle anything. I mean, if I survive what I did, then, you know, I'm the only person that can stop me, you know? And
that's the big thing. Like most people don't realize it's not what happens to you, it's the way you react or you respond to what happens to you. Yeah. And then you dictate everything that happens in your life.
Yeah.
Good or bad, it's on you. If you're not making the money you want to make, it's on you. If you're overweight, it's on you. Yeah. Whatever it is, you need to take 100% accountability for yourself.
Yeah.
No one else is going to do it.
Yeah. And you know what? We touching that point, I get into conversation with people all the time because I have mentor people nowadays, you know, like I do a lot of stuff. And I always tell them, I mean, like you're growing up in a country that gives you every opportunity you can get to become successful.
But you sit there and point
But you rather spend your time on different stuff, you know? Because one day I was talking to this lady, she's like, would you mind coming and talk to my son, you know, and this and that. And I said, absolutely. But, you know, talking to her, she said, well, because, you know, my husband feels like people like you, meaning immigrants, are coming here and stealing our jobs. You know, and I was like, well, I didn't come here to steal anything. It's been here for you the whole time. Yeah. You didn't take it.
Yeah.
So I'm here.
You don't realize how lucky you are.
Exactly. You know,
whereas you appreciate every little thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, because, you know, we're so used to not having anything. And that's one of the things that I really have a hard time nowadays is, you know, now that I became somehow on my own word successful, I work harder than anybody else to stay there. Yeah. Because I'm so afraid to lose that. Yeah, you know, you always have that in the back of your mind. It's like, I don't want to go back to where I came from. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that was rough. not having food to eat was rough.
It's
it's like
So people don't get, like, 2/3 of the world don't have access to clean water.
Yeah,
full stop. Like,
exactly.
Most of the world doesn't have access to the internet. We have the device in our pocket which gives access to any piece of information, but we don't know how to run a business. We don't know how to pick up a book. The average American reads less than one book a year.
It's ridiculous.
It's insane stuff, but it's easier to sit back and point the finger, make excuses. I don't know how to lose weight. I don't know how to start a business. I'm not making enough money. But like you said, you live in America. Everything could not be a better place to do it. Not.
Especially nowadays, man. Come on.
Especially nowadays.
Anything you want to do is on.
Start selling that hat over the internet and not even leave your lounge room for the day.
Yeah.
There's so many different million options. Start a podcast, whatever it is, right?
Exactly.
It's never been easier, and it's getting easier and easier.
It's becoming easier and easier.
But that's where kind of immigrants appreciate it 1,000 times more, and they work so much harder because they appreciate it.
Yeah, everything is you have to work for it. It's not gonna be an easy thing,
But you got to take some action towards it, right?
And that's what happened to me. So I started when I moved to another restaurant, and I was still hanging out with the wrong crowd. So my brother-in-law moved to Vegas. They asked him to come and open a restaurant out here as a sous chef, and he said, "You know what? I think it'll be a good move for you to just go away from here." And I'm like, Vegas, huh? I'm about to become, I'm like 20 at this time. And I came out, he moved like in June, and he's like, I was already here in July.
What did you know about Vegas? Did you know much about Vegas?
I came out here like in 1997, 1998 with my friends to party.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we did. And we had
been here once.
Oh, yeah, I've already been here.
Okay.
And, but, it was a whole different, I was like,
it's when you grow up in Vegas, people think this is normal. Coming from a different country, Vegas is like, Australia, Vegas. Yeah. We've got one casino in every state. So we've only got 5 or 6 casinos in the whole country.
In the whole country. It's crazy.
And you come to Vegas, it's like, oh my God.
And for me it was rough because I'm coming from that background where like you have that addicting personality.
Yeah.
So you do like to party, you like to have a good time.
Drinking, gambling, so it's like, girls, Sin City.
Oh boy.
Should I come here or not?
But I did. I came here, and I started working. I got promoted in the restaurant in the first 6 months I was here. So I was,
What's the restaurant?
It was Sammy's Wood Fire Pizza.
Okay.
Yeah, they had 2 locations at the time. They were projecting to open 3 more. And so I started working as hard as I could, man. Just focusing on work, My ex-wife got pregnant with Mackenzie, and that's when everything switched.
Okay.
Once my daughter was,
That's where you stepped up and became the man you were supposed to become. I became that I was supposed to
because, it was, it's funny because when I moved out here, one of my good friends, I had an apartment with my sister at that time. And one of my good friends is like, I want to get away from this town too. Like, would you just let me stay for you for, 3 months or whatever. And he came, and then we just started partying like crazy, man. I was like, and it goes back to the same thing. Your surroundings, the people that you surround yourself with, that's who you're going to become. And, I was like, oh man, we're basically doing the same thing we were doing in high school, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you need to go get a job. And, I got him a job at MGM Grand as a cook. He started doing really good. And, then he moved. And so I just focused on work.
Okay.
Mackenzie was about to be born. And I was like, okay, it's time for me to really, really, really step up and just, get clean. I was partying still. And I was honestly, I was gambling a lot. Like, because like I said, I have that addicting personality.
Yeah.
I was like,
you needed to redirect that into something positive. Which seems like you did at certain points.
Yeah. When Mackenzie was born, I switched the whole thing and I started working really hard. I got promoted to be the chef of that restaurant, the executive chef. And, I just started running my own restaurant.
Did you get, so how do you go from like working in pizza to becoming a chef? Did you have to go through training?
So basically we're self-trained.
Okay.
We didn't go to school. I didn't go to school.
Do you get like mentorship through work or something?
For me, it was my brother-in-law.
Okay.
For me, it was my brother-in-law. He didn't go to school either, but he was a self-taught chef. So, but in the restaurant, the way that it works, most of the restaurants is by station, So you have let's say for Italian restaurant, right? So there is a pizza station, and then there is a pasta station, there's an appetizer station. And so with your experience, then you're moving into the station that, so let's say you move from dishwasher, you usually move to pizza, and then you move to pasta. Because, because there's a lot more skill needed to be a pasta cook than a pizza cook.
So, okay, so it's like stepping stones.
It's exactly like stepping stones. So what I did was, I moved from pizzas to learn how to do the cold station where you make all the salads and all the desserts, which, it has some skill needed, but it's more like a fast environment, you know what I mean? But it's not like, when you're cooking, you have to have some sort of skill, like when do you do the oil, when do you do the meat, when you do the vegetable, you know what I mean? Like there is some more skill needed.
So you put the time into on each station before you stepped up to the next one. Hey, I've got this in my tool belt, I've got this in my tool belt.
And so what I used to do was, I used to go in at 4:00. So I used to go in at 2:00. So the first 2 hours, I will spend it on a different, other than my station.
Learning something. Yeah, gotcha.
So that's how I got good at my job.
Gotcha. You saw you wanted to.
I wanted the whole picture.
Were you thinking that you're going to start your own restaurant and this is why you're doing it, or
I always wanted to have my own business.
Okay.
I don't necessarily wanted to be a restaurant owner, but I always knew that working for somebody else was going to be the hardest thing ever. So I always thought I need to be my own boss. I need to be able to create my own future.
Okay.
And so, but as just like anything, there is a process that you have to go through, because you have to learn every step. For me, it has become, in a sense, easy because I have learned every, from dishwasher to cook to sous chef to chef.
You've done it all.
I've done it all.
You started in the mailroom and worked your way up.
Exactly. Yeah. So I can relate what my dishwashers go through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not afraid to jump into, in my restaurant, I'm the dishwasher. We're a small restaurant.
Which makes you a good leader too.
Exactly.
They always say that about a leader. Like a leader should be able to step up and do everything and be able to lead by example and be willing to get in the trenches.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, because moving forward, I learned the restaurant business and I opened, between the companies that I work for, I think I opened at least 15 restaurants.
Oh, really?
Where I used to go and train people to
gotcha.
Yeah, so I used to be like a corporate trainer
for another
company.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you knew what you're doing at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I open restaurants, and you go a month before the grand opening, and you start training all the cooks. Start getting all the systems in place. You start teaching them how to prep stuff and how to do the operation.
So doing your own thing was easy by this point because you've done it for someone else.
Yeah. Well,
I wouldn't say easy, but I mean, you knew what you were doing.
It was so different because, when you open a restaurant for a big corporation, like I work for California Pizza Kitchen. I spent like 5 years there and I became a corporate trainer. They have 240 restaurants. There's no budget. They have a budget, but there's no budget.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So when you go and open a restaurant, you have all the freedom to have overtime to do a grand opening, to have your staff, for your small wares, for advertisement. So you're opening a restaurant with somebody else's money.
Yeah, which is nice.
Which is nice, And then you come here and you open your own thing and you're like, okay, well, I only have $100.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah, how resourceful can I be with $100?
Exactly. So, when I opened the first food truck at the end of 2013.
What was the first food truck?
So the first truck, it was actually a trailer, 10 by 10 trailer. So at this time, I'm working for a different company. And I was just sick of the whole system. You know what I mean? Like most of the time in corporate America, you're overwork, underpay.
Yeah.
That's the system. And that, and I was getting tired of it. So in 2007, I had a cleaning company and I was becoming very successful at it. And then the recession came.
Okay.
And then everything went to craps. So I had to close it down. And I'm like, okay, but I always had that idea. I was like, my business. That's what I need to do, my business, or whatever it is, but my business.
Yeah.
In 2013, I don't know if you were in the States then, but the food truck industry was growing like crazy.
Really?
Yeah, it was like, I remember back in the day, it was like, here there's like, other than the Mexican food trucks, there was about 8 food trucks. They were doing gourmet food, you know what I mean? Like different cuisines, like Asian and, this and that. And I was like, wow, that might be something that I can get into.
Okay.
And there was a guy.
Saw an opportunity.
Yeah. Because, so this guy was selling his food truck. He already kind of had a concept going for about a year. He was doing like an Asian fusion, kind of like a Korean Mexican mix or whatever. And he didn't want to do it anymore. So I was like, I told my sister, I said, let me borrow some money. I have some money. And man,
How much you spend on first food truck?
I think at that time it was like about 37,000, 40,000.
Okay, so it's a pretty big investment.
Yeah, it's still a good chunk of money.
Yeah, still a good chunk of money.
Yeah, but my thing was like, I'm a chef, right? I know how to do this. Oh man, it was a hard, it was a hard reality to hit me.
I talked about this yesterday. The difference between being a chef, running a business. Completely different,
Completely different. Completely different.
When did you realize this?
Oh my God, my first month.
Just because you can cook good food doesn't mean you can run a business.
It doesn't mean that you run a business. And you know what though? That's a problem that affects a lot of people.
There's a book called E-Myth. Have you ever read it?
No.
E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber.
Okay.
Because what I'm doing in this podcast, I'm talking about books that I read.
Okay, good.
And that book talks about the technician and the entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah.
Technician, just because you're a good mechanic doesn't mean you should open a mechanic store.
Exactly.
And you just learned that firsthand.
Yeah, because you know what though? Like I said before, you're opening restaurants with a lot of money. Then you are here with your food truck.
With your own hard work.
With your own hard work money. Yeah. And that's basically all you have. So you're really afraid to lose it. And then you have to deal with so many aspects of the business that you didn't learn, because then you have corporate dealing with all that stuff.
Yeah.
Permits, licenses, insurance, and all these things. That you're
marketing, getting the customers.
Yeah. I was like, there is so many things I really don't know. Customer complaints, customers acquisition.
Food quality,
It's like, I'm a one-man show. How do I do all these things?
I just want to cook the food and
yeah, exactly. I just came to cook.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case. So I spent a lot of time. So I kept my full-time job doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did, and then I started doing the food truck Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Do you recommend that for someone starting a business?
I think you have to
keep a job to help fund it.
Unless you have a lot of money,
or you have a safety net of a year or 2 years or something, right?
Yeah, because it really
and then
takes
you're on a time crunch to make it work.
Yeah, because a lot of people, like, I didn't have money. I had money to invest in the business. I didn't have money to run the business.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
So you put it all in. You even borrow. So you're even.
I'm already in the negative.
Yeah, you're in the negative.
I'm in red.
And then you got no money to actually push it, market it. So you're keeping a job to help fund it, to transition eventually.
To start rolling. Because it takes a lot. I mean, one of the hardest thing for me at the beginning was that I didn't know much about the industry. The food truck industry. So where to park? What kind of customers am I projecting my food to? So there was a lot of things that I made a mistake on. Was I know how to cook. I'm a hard worker, so those two combinations should give me the results that I want. But it wasn't enough. So so I had to really focus on learning that system. You know what I mean? Like creating contacts. Creating relationships with people is very important in this kind of business.
Did you have any friends running food trucks? Anyone
I didn't. I didn't. I was very blessed, and I always mention this person because she was an amazing. I always tell people that one of the reasons why I'm still here is because of her.
Okay.
So I met a person. Her name is Jolene. She was doing shows. She was doing a lot of catering. She had a lot of connections in town. And I was blessed enough to meet her at the beginning of my food truck.
Okay.
And she just started throwing me gigs left and right.
Nice.
Oh my God. It was like, she really helped me survive And those
she
times
wasn't
when I
asking
didn't know
for any
anything.
referrals or anything. She
No,
just
like,
help you out?
it depends. I mean, sometimes she would take a commission, but sometimes she wouldn't. You know what I mean? So it was a very fair, but I mean, she didn't have to do it.
But either way, it helped you.
She didn't have to do it. I mean, she didn't know me.
Okay.
So she would throw me a gig here. And I mean, when you go do a catering for $3,000, I mean, that's really helping you stay alive for the next 3 months.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because there's so much cost of owning a food truck that people don't know about. You know what I mean? Your insurance is very expensive.
Even just where to park the truck.
When you park the truck, it's $700.
Yeah.
So you're starting your month and you're like, what, $1,500 on the red already?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I was like, what? I have to pay how much for insurance? What? I have to pay this much to park my truck? I was like, and then there was a lot of places that will ask you for money to park on their property. So you have to pay rent here, you have to pay rent there, and you're like, so it was a learning experience.
I want to ask you, do you think it's important to jump in and figure it out as you go? Or if you were to do it again, would you have done more research and studied the industry itself a bit more?
I probably would have done more research.
Okay.
A lot more research.
What type of research would you do? Would it be talking to business owners or food trucks, or what approach would you have taken?
So think about it. I mean, I started in 2013, so I'm 9 years into it. I'm considered a veteran here in the food industry.
Okay.
And I have done a lot of things. I mean, at one point we owned 5 food trucks with my brother. But I think the issue is, going back to the book that you were referring to, there's a very, very small percentage of people that know how to run businesses. Meaning you have to control your costs. You have to have budgets. You have to control food costs, paper costs, operating costs. There's so many things. I mean, just because you create a great dish at home in your own kitchen, it doesn't mean that people, because the thing is that you create that dish and you invite your friends and family and everybody's going to tell you that they love it. That is the greatest thing you ever tasted. Yeah. But that's so far from reality. Have you ever heard
that saying, if you got a product and you ask your friends if they like it and they say yes, ask them to buy it.
Yeah.
And if they don't buy it,
then exactly.
They're fluffy.
And the reality is that most of the time, I would say 98% of the time, the support is not going to come from your friends. I can count with my hand how many people I have of my friends have come to the food trucks and be supportive.
It's crazy, right?
It's amazing.
Who like your post, who comment, who share.
Yeah.
It's a very lonely journey, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So doing your research is very important.
Okay.
Because you know what, though, especially now, I mean, we went from being a $400 million industry to $5 billion industry now.
Oh, really? Okay.
I mean, food trucks are everywhere now.
Yeah, especially Vegas. It's huge.
I mean, we own a food truck in LA at one point.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm telling you, man, there's food trucks literally in every corner. Every corner. I mean, it's such a competitive industry nowadays, I mean, I do events here in town now with food trucks where I bring food trucks to parking lots and we try to create an event, and every month there is at least 7 to 10 food trucks coming into the business. And
new ones coming
in.
New
ones, yeah. Gotcha. It's such a competitive business. So you have to stay in top. As far as your food quality, consistency, customer service, places where you can sell, I mean, in the last 5 years, I have stayed away from going to a corner and sell food. Okay. Except for in the pandemic. The pandemic, we went back to the basics, which is you go to a corner and you start promoting that you're going to be there and people's going to show up.
Okay.
But
I mean, that's different.
It was different because you had to. There was no events. Everything was closed. There was no concerts. There was corporations were closed. They were not doing like employee appreciation days or whatever. Yeah. They were not doing anything like that. So what do? You have these trucks that are just parked. You need to generate some money. So you went back to the basics. Park in the corner. And it's just blasted on social media.
Hustling.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I'm going to tell you this. 2020, best year I ever had.
I've heard that from so many people and so many different industries. It's
amazing. And you know what, though? I was one of the first food truck owners to start hitting the corners.
Gotcha.
In town. Because I saw an opportunity. Nobody's out. Restaurants are closed. People's getting sick of cooking at home. What am I going to do? start taking the food truck out.
I like that. Rather than complaining that things shut down, listen to people's complaints and adapt to it.
Yeah, I mean,
and there's a big opportunity.
And that's always been my motto in life.
Yeah,
you can sit here and complain about something, or you can change the way that things are gonna go.
As a saying, rather than complaining, listen to someone's complaint and solve that complaint.
Yeah,
could be $1 million industry.
Because it's like, I mean, everybody wants to eat. I mean, we're a food truck. We're outside. You're not gonna be crowded. You come and grab your food. You sit in your car and you eat in the middle of the pandemic. You know what I mean? They're fine with that. Families wanted to do that. So I just started hitting so I started picking one spot in different parts of the city. So on Tuesday, I'll park in the Southwest. On Tuesday, I'll go to Henderson, and so on and on and on. And man, that was my best year.
That's cool.
Out of the 9 years I've been doing it, the best year.
That's really cool.
And we created opportunity for other people too, because they're like, well, if this guy is making money, then we should go out too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So let's go out and start selling some food.
Leading by example.
Yeah.
How did you transition from food trucks to a restaurant? So what's your restaurant now? What is it?
It's Aroma, a Latin American Cocina.
Aroma. I cannot roll my R's. Yeah, so we do not roll R's in Australia.
Yeah.
And everyone makes fun of me here.
Yeah.
Aroma.
Yeah.
So it's Latin American cuisine. What is that exactly?
So we're doing a little bit of, so I partnered up with an amazing chef. My partner, his name is Steve Kessler, Is
he American?
No, he's actually Guatemalan.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But not like me. He's an actual real chef. That's what I call him. He has become one of my best friends.
Okay.
We have grown to have a great relationship. And I tell him, I say, I'm not a chef like you, but I'll outwork you any day. But he's so he's...
what is that? Hard work out... Hard work beats talent any day.
Yeah, right. He's a hardworking man. I mean, he's amazing, talented chef. He actually went to school.
Okay.
And he's done he's done tours to South America and whatnot to learn different cuisines. And he at one point owned a food truck as well.
Okay.
And that's how we met. And I always I try to project the future. You know what I mean? Like, he was making great food in his food truck, and I would be like, we need to open a restaurant.
Gotcha.
We need to open a restaurant. So moving forward, he sold his food truck. And I'm like, I think it's time for us to open that restaurant, And I wanted to go in kind of like a silent partner, and him being in charge of the restaurant.
Okay.
And so he does the daily operation. But, so to answer your question, Latin America is because we're doing dishes from across the Latin cuisines, so we got some Mexican, we have a few Guatemalans, we have some Peruvian, Argentinian,
so a lot of South American type.
A lot of South American, So so he spent some time in Peru, so we have like lomo saltado, which is is very popular. We have some Guatemalan stuff that is very popular.
Okay.
So it's he's, like I say, he's a very talented chef. And we opened it last year. I mean, we went into business in November of last year. Okay. It's going to be a year now.
Gotcha.
It's been rough. It's owning, I think, for food and beverage right now, for a small business, is probably one of the hardest time.
Why is that, you think?
Because, inflation is just killing the business.
Yeah, okay.
I
feel like people are holding back on spending at the moment too.
Yeah.
I'm even seeing that with my business. I feel like people are definitely holding back.
Well, they are. We don't know what's going to happen.
That's exactly. I feel like a lot of people are like, I've got this little nest and I'm not sure
what's happening. Like, if I spend money right now, am I going to need it later?
Yeah, that's exactly what I think is happening.
And the thing is that, people wants to get something great in return for their investments. Meaning, if I go spend $100 in a restaurant, I want to get great food. You know what I mean? And so right now it's tough because everything has gone up 30 to 40%.
Okay.
Even frying oil. You know what I mean? Tortillas. The meat, the seafood, everything is ridiculous. It's expensive. So how do you manage paying 40% more for a product, but not raising your prices for your customer?
40%, yeah. It's still being able to pay bills and yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the rent doesn't change. The power doesn't change. The gas doesn't change. Your employees, they want to make good money. Especially nowadays, it's so hard to find good employees.
That's a whole different conversation, isn't it? Yeah, I'm seeing that firsthand in a lot of different places. Like even a local coffee shop I go to, the turnover in that place is insane.
Yeah.
Every week there's someone new there.
It is.
And it's got to be like, because you can have a successful business, but if you haven't got staff to run that business,
absolutely,
you're stuck.
Yeah, I mean, we're living in a day where like it's really hard to find quality employees that want to stay and do a good job. I mean, we live in a time where like everything is. I don't want to say, you know, I have young kids, you know, but my daughter works at the Galleria de Area. You know, she was there for 3 months and then she got promoted to assistant manager.
Okay.
Yeah, at 19 years old. But it's one thing I tell my daughter and my kids all the time. It's like, it doesn't matter what you do. You have to be great at what you do. You go there with the mentality that, because nowadays they want to go in and do a halfway job, but still they want to get paid good money. You know what I mean? In the food industry, it's such a, I would say it's hard, you know, it's stressful. I mean, when you're going through the rush and you have to do all these things, all these steps. I mean, I understand people need to get paid well. But it's so hard. I don't know what happened in the pandemic, but all the good employees have disappeared.
Well, everyone got paid money for doing nothing. And I think that's one
of the biggest issues.
I can sit at home and make more money than I do going out working.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
what's the biggest difference between running a food truck and running a brick and mortar restaurant that you've found?
So my biggest thing is, you know, with the food truck, let's just say for me, if I come here, I used to come here at UNLV.
Okay.
I used to serve for the students inside the UNLV. And, you know, we started great. Everything was amazing. And then it started to slow down. So what do? I move.
Yeah.
I moved.
Which you can't do.
And I go to the convention center where there is the crowd.
Okay.
I mean, so that logistic of the food as a mobile food vendor, you have the opportunity to react to it.
Where's your restaurant located?
The restaurant is in the corner of Green Valley and Sunset.
So it's good. It's a good location.
It's a good location. There's a lot of traffic. My location is kind of weird because it's hitting behind the main intersection. Okay. So it's really hard for me, to be exposed to all the people coming through.
Okay. You can't just get up and move when you want to.
Yeah. So I have to find different ways to attract people because my restaurant is more of a destination restaurant. Like you heard, it's amazing, it's great. I have to go there. You know,
is it a high ticket restaurant? Like what's the right wording for that? Is it medium price? Is it expensive?
Average, I would say about 25 to 30 per person.
Okay, so it's a little bit higher than like.
It is a little bit higher, but
the quality of food's obviously there.
Yeah, so we, when we wanted to create this concept, we wanted to go back to the basics. Because I think we have gone away from that so much in the food truck, in the food industry as a whole. Everything is like quick made, frozen, and we went back to making everything from scratch.
Okay. Coming from Australia, the quality of food in America is awful. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Australia's food is so much better.
Yeah. And because everybody's focusing on that, quick turnaround.
As much profit
it's like a real estate.
As quick as possible. It's actually quite disgusting.
It is
to see.
And we wanted to get away from that. Okay. So we're the first. I want to say the first Latin American. But we're a lot of people tell me this. Like, well, you guys are not a Mexican. We're not a Mexican restaurant. I don't know. A lot of the Mexican restaurants you go and they serve their plates with beans and rice and then the main thing. Whatever. We don't do that because we're not Mexican, We're a Latin American restaurant that serves our food is created with love.
Okay.
At the end of the day, that's the key. We're making everything from scratch. We're not buying anything frozen.
Okay.
We have one little freezer in the whole restaurant.
So because of that, it takes longer. It's going to be more expensive.
Yeah.
But it's better quality.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Because now you're going through a process. Let's just say for a mole, it has 27 ingredients that takes 3 hours to make.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? But you're not buying something in the store that you're just gonna add water to and then you have mole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And those things make a difference.
Yeah.
It make a difference to me and my partner. And because we want to, when you say, 25, 30, but look how much work is coming into this. We're spending our time to make this so that you can enjoy it. You know what I mean? But it's really hard trying to project that to the customer.
That's the problem, right?
That's the problem. Because they're so used to what you just said.
Yeah.
They're so used to that quick.
Denny's, Outback Steakhouse, all these like quick fixes, which is really cheap. But the food's so bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
And I mean, there is a little bit of for everybody. I mean, I'm not here to say anything about nobody. But
I see what you're trying to do.
For me, it's important that my product reflects what we're trying to do.
Okay.
And to reflect what Steve is doing in the kitchen. When he's coming in at 9 a.m. and prep everything fresh, and we're doing the same prep 3 times a week so it stays fresh, that should mean something.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And as far as how hard it has been in the last year, because it's been hard. I mean, I have to take from my food truck to pay the restaurant, or I have to take from my job to pay the restaurant. Okay. It doesn't matter. What matters is, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, I don't know if I'm going to make it. It's becoming hard.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, even if I don't make it, I didn't want to be the one person to say, I should have tried to done the restaurant.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I did, and I did it right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that should make something, I mean, that should mean something.
Yeah, yeah. I always talk about that, like having regret. You're not going to have regret.
No, I'm not. Because
you're the type of person going to give 110% to it.
Yeah. I mean, if it works out, which I think it will, I pray every day that it does, and I work for it as hard as I can that it will.
What are you doing with your marketing?
So,
what are you doing? What are you not doing?
What am I doing? What am I not doing? So, at this point, I hired somebody to help me with that.
Like,
so we're doing social media, we're doing Facebook ads, you know what I mean? We're doing Google ads.
Is that helping a lot?
It's picking up a lot, it's helping a lot. So this new person that we have running the social media right now is really into, because he loves our concept.
Okay.
I mean, so that makes a difference. I mean, it's really important to pick people that believe in what you're doing.
Got it. So,
and not so much for that dollar amount that they're going to get from you.
They're passionate about what the cause. Okay.
Exactly.
Which sounds like the perfect person.
Yeah. Okay. So he enjoys our food, so he can see how much work and how much passion is going into it. So I think he wants to see us succeed.
Okay.
It's not so much as a business.
I mean, he's getting paid, so if you succeed, he succeeds.
He succeeds.
Yeah.
So he's doing a great job. We just started working with him. But before that, that's another aspect of the business that we need to get more involved with, like I tell Steve and we need to watch more YouTube videos because everything is on YouTube now. Like, like how to run, how to do good quality post on Instagram and TikTok and this and that people want to see, and they want to see like, I want to.
You didn't grow up with the internet or social media.
No.
I mean, and we're literally the same. You're born in 79.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're literally the same age. We didn't grow up with it.
No.
But here we are with cameras everywhere.
I know.
Because it is so damn important. And if you don't get present on social media, not going to be present.
You're not going to present at all. And it's something you have to keep on learning. Keep on learning.
Constantly
evolving. It's a moving trend.
Yeah.
It used to be pictures. Now it has to be
videos, reels, TikTok. What's going to be next? Podcasts, like going live, whatever it is.
I follow Gary B. Gary B.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I follow Gary B. I've been following him for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And he's been talking about this crap for the last 5 years,
Have you been doing it for 5 years?
Huh?
Have you been doing it for the 5 years?
Yeah, I've been trying, but
Okay.
it's one of the things he says. You have to continue, keep on growing and learning. Because if you're not, you're already behind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm constantly reading, I'm constantly talking to people like yourself.
Yeah.
Constantly trying stuff. And sometimes I feel like I'm just biting my head against the wall and no one cares. But what's the alternative? Give up and then nobody cares.
Then nobody cares.
So you just got to keep pushing.
Yeah.
But it's hard.
It's really hard, but I think that's, for me, is probably one of the hardest things in my business. Is because I understand the concept of customer acquisition, you know what I mean? And then you have to bring that customer in, and I believe so much in our product that I know the customer is going to stay. You know what I mean? So you have to, but
get them in the door in the first place, right? So you can build that rapport.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And I think that's one of the hardest part. And that's something that we have to continue learning, Like right now, I'm going to start I'm going to do 3 months of learning how to do new things, that you have to move with the trends, because
I have to check out your content and see if I can give you some tips on what I might, because that's what I do for a living too.
Oh, good.
Social media, photos, videos. So I see what maybe you're missing or what you could do.
Yeah, because you know what though? I mean, we live in, everybody's on TikTok now, right?
TikTok is
the new thing,
And YouTube Shorts. Don't overlook YouTube Shorts. They're going to be pretty equal very soon.
Yeah. So, and I mean, everybody's a food critic nowadays. Everybody can go to a camera to your restaurant and be like, oh, yeah, that looks horrible. It's like Yelp back in the day. Everybody was a food critic because you had so many reviews. I mean, it doesn't make you a food critic.
No.
You don't know about food.
You could try to get some food influencers in town.
Yeah.
There's a couple of people around, 500,000 followers.
Yeah. We have, the guy that is working with us, that's like about 200,000.
Okay.
So,
but I mean, you get a couple of those people.
Yeah, he brings people in. And
perfect.
Yeah, so they're doing it. Yeah. I feel like he's doing a great job, and I like what he's doing. He believes in the concept and the ideas that we have, because now
it takes time though.
It takes time, yeah.
And that's where most people think, oh yeah, I kind of come in and all of a sudden like your business is going to explode.
No,
it takes time.
That doesn't, and that's the one thing that I have learned throughout the years. Even it's like everything takes time.
There's a saying, it's like I think it's like 21 touches before somebody will come in.
Absolutely.
Meaning like an advertisement here, Facebook ad here, an Instagram post here. It takes 21 of those,
you know what I mean?
21 of those things before somebody thinks about walking in the door or giving you a call.
Exactly.
So, yeah, if you're expecting something to blow out overnight, it's not happening.
It's not happening.
Yeah.
So, it's a process, and it's something that we enjoy and we're going through, and we keep on learning, but we're also enjoying the journey, because at the end of the day, right. I think my vision, Steve's vision, is to have a couple of restaurants and, just go from there. The concept is very solid, but we got to think about this too. We opened a restaurant with our own money. We didn't get loans. We didn't get anything. So going back to what I did exactly the same thing as I did with the food truck. I put my money in and I go all in and make it work. There's no other option. There's option one and option B is the same one.
Yeah.
Go and do the hard work that you need to do to make it happen. And like I said, it might not happen, but at least I give it a try. So that's where we are, man. I mean, it's fun. You know what I mean? It's stressful fun.
I like to say being comfortable, being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship 101. You're constantly uncomfortable, but you wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. And a lot of people make fun of me because I have a great job. You know what I mean? Like, I have a full-time job. It's a great job. It's a great paying job. They're like, dude, you can just do this and make a living and you'll be fine.
What's the challenge?
Like, yeah, but then I'll be like you. I'll be bored.
I want more. I expect more out of myself.
Like, no.
Yeah.
I want to create something. I want to create something.
You want to grow, right?
Yeah.
You're
and I don't see anything wrong. If you're fine and you're happy and you're comfortable where you are, that's fine. That's not me.
No, not me either.
You know what I mean? Like I want.
It's self-awareness, right?
Huh?
Some people are okay checking in, clocking out.
Yeah.
Some people want to be stressed out of their brain trying to dominate the world.
Exactly.
And it's just as that self-awareness.
It is a self-awareness thing. And
I'm like you. I always want more. Always expect more out of myself.
Always. And that's what life is all about. You don't get stuck, I didn't come all the way from over there
to half-ass America, right?
Nah.
I'm here to
it's
dominate.
Not for me. I'm here to double it.
Yeah.
To triple it. I'm here to put in the work that
and lead by example and show my kids what can be done, so my kids can outdo me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell my kids, man. My son is 18 years old. He's an amazing artist. He wants to be a tattoo artist. I'm like, you need to go and do that, and then you're gonna open shops. You're gonna have your own shop, your tattoo shop. My younger wants to be a barber. I'm like, you go to school and you open your own barber shop, or you open 2 barber shops and 3 barber shops, and then you make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Listen, but you need to put in the work. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to start somewhere, but you always have to be able. You have to be willing to do what other people don't want to do. A lot of people don't want to work 18 hours a day. A lot of people don't want to work 20 hours a day.
It goes back to even like as a photographer, a lot of people just want to take pretty photos.
Yeah.
95% of what I do is marketing my damn self.
Yeah.
To get the photos.
Exactly.
It's not the fun stuff, but it's the stuff that counts. 5% of what I do is actually the fun stuff. The rest of it's just getting the damn work.
I agree. It's
exactly the same.
Exactly the same thing. People don't want to put in the work. They want that instant reward. You know what I mean? Like that microwave thing, You got to go through the process. The process is what makes you better, to make you understand, to make you value what you have.
Yeah.
I value everything I have. I value my family, my wife, my kids, my sisters, my relatives. I value that stuff. I have too much invested in that stuff. You know what I mean? My business, everything, God, everything. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I should be dead. My destiny was to be dead. My destiny was to be locked up in a prison or a jail, whatever. That should have been my destiny. You know what I mean? But God had other plans. But I also had to react to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
it wasn't you work for it.
Yeah. So I'm just I don't know. I always tell people, man, I'm stressed. All this white hair is stress. But I'm blessed.
Yeah.
And I'm happy and I'm content with what I have created. Because I have created it. Nobody gave it to me.
It's amazing.
Nobody gave it to me. I came here with nothing. And the little stuff I have created it with a lot of hard work.
Dude.
A lot of sleepless nights, a lot of 7 days in a row, 20 hours a day, you know what I mean? It's something that you have to be willing to put in. If you're not willing to put in, this is not for you.
It's amazing.
That
was a pleasure to meet you.
You too, brother.
That
man.
was
thank you.
Yeah, like I said, One Life is the podcast. One Life, live it the way that you want to do it and make the most out of it.
Absolutely.
And you are the perfect person to
man.
represent what
I appreciate for you having me, man.
And I'd love to come check out your food.
Yeah.
Give it a go.
Please do.